I believe there's something after. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's what I saw that day. I don't know if we're just all running through the trees and like all connected in here and supporting everybody along the way. I don't know if we're in the sky. I don't know what it is. I believe there's something more. And because I believe in all of the possibilities of something more, there is a part of me that also holds space for believing that there's nothing more. It's just nothing.
Yeah.
That it's over, that there's nothing. It's just the darkness.
Yeah.
And they feel equally as peaceful to me.
We'll make it out and fall in love tonight. Ain't nothing needed but
Now.
this feeling.
Consume. Not consume.
Just take a chance, we got a wild ride.
Ready.
Wait and see.
That was like the dorkiest thing I've ever done. That was very
That was
bad.
very cute.
Yeah.
I just turned Stephanie on. Podcast now is your go word. And then do it again. It was very
Do
cute.
it again?
Yeah, I
well,
want to
now
see
I'm
it.
blushing because of what you said. I'm not going to do it again.
Do it. Podcast.
I'm
now.
too embarrassed. It was in the moment. I can't recreate the moment.
We might be robots.
We might be.
I think we're avatars, obviously. Yeah. Which is kind of robotic in a sense, except I'm not real.
So is your avatar, just curious. Avatars, I just thought of one. So is it like, because simulation, holograph, all that, so is it just a simulation?
Yes.
Is it just or are you like battery operated AI or robot? Do you think your avatar has it?
Do it again?
Do you think you have a battery in your avatar?
No. I'm not a real thing. I'm not my avatar's not a real thing.
So it's just like,
It's just the projection.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, see, look at how 3D I am. I'm like, I bet you have to put batteries in
Right?
these things.
Gotta plug that thing in. Nope. Just a projection.
Batteries not included.
Not in this guy.
Not on this. Okay. I don't
The
know.
only reason we're talking about this is because you did your robot. It
I
was
know,
so good.
right?
Yeah.
Mr. Roboto. How should this whole conversation be about robots?
It's going to be a long conversation because neither one of us really know anything
We
about
don't know
robots.
anything about. Have you ever owned a robot? Have you ever had a robot? I had a little one.
Oh, did you?
I did. It
Like
was
the
a little white one, and it had like its arms were like, I think it was like cup
Yes,
holders, and
I
it
remember that.
had a
thing in its belly that you could like
cassette player,
change out.
a cassette player, so you could play music, and it
Yeah.
would like,
Wow.
and like, well, it was more like a roll.
What was that thing called?
I
Do
don't
you remember
know.
what it was called? I feel
no,
like I had
because it
something
was
like
like,
that
I remember. I think it wasn't like really mine. It was like borrowed. Like my parents, or I don't know if it was my
that because
dad.
the robot was autonomous and it was like, I'm not really yours, Stephanie.
Right?
I'm a autonomous creature.
An autonomous creature. It was the first AI, and
was the
the
first
tape
AI?
that came with it, because it was somebody else's, right? The tape that came with it was, I don't know who the band is, but have you heard the song "We Built This City"?
On rock and roll. Yeah, I've heard that song.
So that's what it was, and I would just listen to that song over and over again.
So it was
I
just a
loved it.
cassette tape that moved? That's what it sounds like to me.
Look, that may be facts, but at the time,
It was a robot.
it was cool as shit.
It
And I
sounds
had
cool.
bunk beds still, so I was really little.
Yeah.
So it was probably, that's why they had, I bet my dad got it from the aliens and like got to try it out because it was so long ago, and then had to send it back
Oh, okay.
because they worked in Dugway.
Okay,
I'm just
okay.
kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. If everybody gave the same look that you did.
I was trying to put the pieces together,
Right?
knowing your full story, and I'm like, I think I missed this part, but then I caught up.
It was a joke.
It
I
was
was
a good
funny.
joke. You got the jokes. Do you think you're alone in the whole desire to be laughed at by your husband when your husband doesn't really laugh at you? And then you're like, why didn't you laugh at me? I was being funny. And then your husband says, that was funny. And you're like, well, why didn't you laugh?
I'm glad you elaborated, because first you're like laughed at by your husband. And I'm like, I feel like you laugh at me, but laugh
At your
because
jokes.
I like make you laugh because you find me funny. I don't think I'm alone in that.
What do you think's underneath it?
God, I wanted to say something funny right there, but nothing came.
That was good.
That's what's
That
under
was
it.
funny. You sitting there for 15 minutes waiting to come up with something funny.
Look, it's not the same thing when you're making fun of me. That's not you laughing at my jokes.
Baby, we're having
You're
a good
just
time. We're having a
making
good
fun
time.
of me. You're laughing at your own jokes right now at my expense.
That was a good one, Steph. That was a good one. No, I've been on this kick more and more lately where it's like, because we're in the simulation, the truth is we're all experiencing the same things just through these different avatars. So we're so similar, right? That's why all those funny memes and reels and things like that, where it's like, I saw one the other day where it's like, I'm at that phase of relationship, or no, I'm at that part in marriage where you can get in trouble for falling asleep early or falling asleep too quickly. I'm like, oh, I know that phase. I've been there.
That's interesting. I
Right.
actually saw a reel on that as well again, or not as well again. Why are my words? I saw a reel on that as well yesterday.
Of a husband getting in trouble for falling asleep
It was
too
more
early.
the woman was venting about the audacity of him falling asleep
How
in
dare,
15 seconds.
right?
And then I think it's funny because I think it's while you're sleeping and I'm like, can't sleep.
Is when you see it.
Right? And I'm like looking at, no, I'm glad you can sleep.
So
Because
see,
you can't
we're all
always.
having that experience.
Are we?
Yeah, I think we are. I think there's a version of us out there having that same experience where the wife is getting frustrated with the husband because the husband falls asleep earlier than she wants him to because she wants to stay up and talk to him or show him dog reels. The dog reels
Look,
are
I'm
great, by
feeling
the way.
very attacked right now.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's
Definitely don't want
rightfully
you to
so.
feel attacked. No,
I guess I
not
shouldn't say
rightfully
attacked.
so.
I was being playful.
Oh, okay.
Like you're pointing at me and I'm feeling
as soon
feeling
as
your
you're
fingers.
like, I'm being attacked,
I
I'm
know.
like, I gotta change.
That was
I
a
never
terrible
want to feel
verbiage.
like you. I never
Thank
want you
you.
to feel like you're being attacked.
What's a funny way to say what I'm trying to say without being like, this is like, because I don't want to feel attacked. I
Let's
don't
wait.
want to say that.
Well,
Don't
Steph
you
comes up
do
with
it. Don't
comes
you
up
do
with
it.
the funny.
I'm feeling very singled out.
There you go.
I'm feeling very projected upon. I feel like your projectiles are coming at
My
me.
projectiles. That's a whole other podcast. It's dodging projectiles left and
Like,
right.
whoo, whoo, whoo. You know that reel? Hopefully. Anybody watching it's like, she's nuts.
Everybody knows that, Ro.
Well, there's your 10 minutes. You'll have to remember to beep that one.
I think that's the benefit of social media. Is it's helping us all realize that we're all the same
Right?
and that we're all in this simulation, living the same experiences over and over again, just through different lenses, slight different
All in this
perspectives.
together.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're definitely all in this together.
Which is why we
Literally.
talk about the things that we talk about on the
Yeah.
podcast, right? To help people feel not so alone. You're in this with us. We're all healing together on this path. Are you coming with us?
Nice. Oh my gosh.
So we've been
trying to get
unpacking
into it.
fear and love a lot lately, not just on the podcast.
That was just on me. I was looking at
okay.
the camera and I'm like, la, 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 la,
Don't look
la.
at the camera.
Just getting a drink. I know. I try not to.
Don't look at
'cause
the
then
cameras.
I totally get.
Don't look at the cameras over there.
What cameras?
Right?
There's no cameras.
We're just talking. Are these things even plugged
Not
in?
on the Truman Show.
Hello? Hello? Is
There's
this
no
microphone?
cameras
It's
here.
connected to nothing. That would be funny.
If they were just prop
we're
mics.
Yeah, and we're really not filming a podcast, and this really doesn't go out anywhere. It's just us sitting in these imaginary chairs talking it into
What are
these
you doing to
imaginary
my
microphones.
brain? My brain's starting to hurt. What are you doing to my brain?
Dun, dun, dun.
I can't handle it. I'm reading a.
So we've been unpacking fear and love a lot lately because Craig
lot.
is all about turning fear into love. If you've listened to recent episodes of the podcast, you know that we've had conversations about that. And it's damn hard,
Yes.
right? It's the type of thing that's not easily done. So we thought we would explore a little bit of what is practical help in regards to that concept and idea of not just turning love into fear, but how do you shift out of a fear mindset and then looking at it through that lens rather than thinking it's just this simple thing. Because that's your big holdup is like I talk about all this love stuff and you're like, that doesn't make sense to me. And then you get caught in some of those little paradoxes where it's like, how can I, that I can't turn that into love. And I'm like, can't you though? Pretty sure you can.
Right? I'm not like I don't know how to turn all fear into love. I don't know how to get out of the fear mindset, but I am on the journey of getting out of the fear mindset and I've done really well on a lot of spaces and it's still like, yeah. You're just like, it's love. And I'm like,
See, the only reason I find it easier,
that doesn't make
think,
sense to me.
Like the only reason I feel like I have an easier experience of it is because I've experienced that big unconditional love that we all come from. And I've like felt that.
Yeah.
And not just in the sense of like, oh, that warm hug or, but I feel like I experienced it completely. And to the point where it's not something that I struggle in believing. It's something that I just know as truth. So then coming back down into the matrix, it's much easier for me because I realize, oh, it's just the illusion. But that doesn't mean that it's always easy for me. I think that's just why it's it's easier in a sense.
I kind of feel like I have too.
I think you have multiple times.
Well, I don't know
on a regular
about
basis.
multiple times, but I can think of one that was literally like we were speaking about the other day, literally fear that transforms. So you're like, that's why it's easier for you. But I'm like, I think I've experienced that too. I feel like I have.
Okay.
Now, who knows? But in that moment and the way it felt that moment, I very much felt that. I was like crying just because of love. Like I was just crying just because of love. I wasn't like sobbing out of sadness or anything. It was just like tears just because of love.
That's totally what my experience was. Do you remember when I was like on the floor in our living room, sobbing and bawling, like welling in front of you? Because that's exactly what it was. It was just overcome with the knowingness of unconditional love, that we were all one. Do you want to share yours?
Well, mine didn't quite have the same effect as yours had. My story's a little different.
I cannot not hear Kate McKinnon
Right?
on Saturday Night Live every time you
That's
get
what
that
it
experience.
is.
You're like, mine was a little bit different.
Right? You get the love and light. And I'm like, I got dropped on 7-Eleven, ass up, no pants. Like,
Totally what it is.
what is she? I was gonna try and do her
Wasn't
things,
dealing
but
with the
like,
top brass.
right? Well, it's like her newt toot and her poop shoot, like
prune
all
shoot.
over
And, yeah,
things.
it's so good.
Prune shoot.
If you're not familiar with that, go Google and
Yeah.
YouTube and go down the rabbit hole of Kate McKinnon and the
Right? And if you're
Just
not a
all
fan
Kate
of
McKinnon.
Saturday Night Live, just the Kate McKinnon.
McKinnon.
Is
Okay,
my verbiage is off as
share yours.
today. To share mine.
Yeah, your perimenopause is powerful today.
It is. So like, I don't know. I feel like we'll just veer off.
You'll be all right.
Well, like we're not. I don't. Okay.
I believe in you.
I don't know that really holds context to the conversation, but why not?
I feel
Let's
like
go
we're
on a
right
journey.
there. It's a conversation about love and fear. And you said that you feel like you've had that experience.
Oh, are you like calling me out? Are you like, prove it? Let's hear your story. Does it measure up?
No.
Okay.
Definitely not calling you out. You are very safe.
So
We're having a safe conversation in our imaginary podcast.
there was mushrooms.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Seriously though, psilocybin. I was on a psilocybin experience.
I forgot to mention that the other day too. Like my experience. Here I go again. Like my experience.
Right?
Hold on.
The valid one.
Let me ask you about your experience, then hurry up and interrupt you and tell you more
That's
about my
okay.
experience.
I want
But,
to actually hear more about your
I was
experience.
on THC for mine. I don't know if you remember that or not.
No, because I know that you've had a lot of that. I don't know what to say. You've had a lot of the THC. There was a period of Craig's time where he was.
I know that you've had a lot of that.
I felt like I was like walking around with a string, you're on a balloon. Da, 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 da. I'm like, I got him. It's okay.
Quite a bit of that flowing through your veins during a few years.
But you also have like not. So
Yes.
I didn't know that.
But that experience
That
was,
one?
yeah, because essentially I stopped at the first of the year.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve was not technically the last
I was
time.
like, was
but
it like was that a New Year's resolution?
It wasn't. It just happened
Just
because
happened?
of that event, actually, where it was
And
like,
you're like, I don't need this.
yeah, I don't need it anymore
Wow.
because I'm in love. Anyways, so,
You don't need drugs if you're in love.
but that's because
Kidding.
I know that
That's terrible.
the experience can be invalidated in our minds as well as externally people listening, and or society invalidates those experiences oftentimes because of a substance and thinks, well, because you're on the substance, then that experience isn't real. And it was during last year and my extensive use of THC where I was like, I'm through with that narrative.
Yeah.
So I stopped invalidating those experiences simply because I was on THC. It was all the same. It was all real to me.
It was all
So
real.
I no longer held that limiting belief of the invalidation of it because of the substance. So you had a real experience and you were also on psilocybin.
Right.
And now I'm going to be quiet and I want to hear it. To the best of my ability,
to
by the
the
way. I'm definitely not going to be quiet, but I'm going to do my best.
It's okay. I'll forget. I'm happy to go.
Just
like,
reach over and Roxy me.
Just like, shh.
Put your hand right on my face.
Be
Just
like, wait. They're like, to speak back to the invalidation point of when, if you're under the influence of anything or using anything, which is funny because if you like take any other medication, it's suddenly you're not like, well, no longer is it valid. But if you are habitually invalidating yourself anyways, it's always easy to invalidating yourself or others, you know, of course. And then things that you don't understand, you want a if you don't understand it, you're looking for reasons to invalidate it. If you don't understand it and it scares you, it's like your brain seeks out ways a lot of times, like hopefully your brain seeks out ways to get curious, but a lot of times your brain seeks out ways to invalidate it, disregard it so it can go back to safe, to where it's not. So
today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Woolly. Let's talk about what's in your clothes. Most fabrics today are loaded with synthetic fibers and microplastics. And every single time you put them on or wash them, those tiny plastics are shedding off into the air, into the water, and even into your skin.
that's why we love Woolly clothing. Their apparel is made from all natural merino wool, no microplastics, no synthetics, just high quality, comfortable clothes that work with your body and not against it.
And merino wool isn't just soft and comfortable. It's temperature regulating, moisture wicking, and naturally odor resistant. So you can stay cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and fresh all day long.
Plus, it's biodegradable and sustainable. So when you choose Woolly, you're not just upgrading your wardrobe, you're making a smarter choice for the planet.
Right now, listeners of the podcast can save 15% off of everything over at Woolly. Click the link in our description and be sure to use promo code Steph and Craig to get that discount.
Wear better, feel better with Woolly clothing. If you're also invalidating yourself, you're being invalidated by others, you invalidate. It's like, of course, when you then bring in something else that helps you, you're like, it's not real because of this. It's not real because of this. It's not real because of this.
Right, it's programming.
The psilocybin or THC or whatever, like your method is while it's helping you in the space, until you don't need that, right? It's the absolute most convenient way for you to invalidate yourself immediately and discredit yourself, even so. So that being said,
Yes.
psilocybin and I went for a walk together. We went for a walk together. It showed up with, was that the one where
I was outside mowing the lawn, wasn't I?
I don't know, because
Wasn't
there
it
was a
that
couple
day?
of times. There was a couple of times, and both times I ended up more than I meant to. Both times, you know.
Yeah, you got surprised.
Both times. Like I thought like both times it was like we're really gonna go on a walk here. We're gonna go on a walk
Yeah,
here.
where both times you're
We're
like,
gonna
I
go
just want
flying.
to taste, and both times you're like, here's
Well,
a big gulp.
I wasn't just thinking a taste. I was like, I'm gonna have a couple slices of pizza. I'm gonna have a couple slices of pizza. And it's like, bitch, you're about to eat Pizza Hut. I'm like, oh God. So, but it was okay because it was needed. So I had some, like it worked out perfectly because the breakthroughs that I had and just like really being able to reflect, there was so much more than just this moment, right? This moment was beautiful, but like the whole experience, the breakthroughs, the healing, the awarenesses, that's funny because those I keep, you know?
Yeah.
But I can like, it's interesting the way that you'll invalidate yourself. And I'm like, hiccup now because I'm nervous. I got hiccups.
Yeah.
So this experience, to summarize and bring it short and bring it together, whole big experience. And it was wintry time. I don't know if it was like actual winter, but the trees were in the winter phase. So
Yeah, so
there
we're
was
in
no
fall
leaves.
or winter or early spring
Yeah,
time.
it was all like, so whenever the leaves are on the ground, whenever it's the shedding phase of the seasons, the hibernation is where it was. So everything was like really like the browns and oranges and very like that color, you know, the trees were all white. It was just that whole scene. And so much like the forest came alive, or it just came alive. And it was alive before that. There was so much movement, so much was happening, but there was like creatures, like they were, you know,
Yeah.
they were straight up. I'm like, oh, this is intense. Like I was like, I was ready. I was literally moving into fear, which is funny that, you know, this is coming with this space because it holds so much with that. As I was moving towards it, I'm like ready to see, show me. It was like, my intention was straight for shadow work, which is probably why I was like, a couple slices of pizza are fine. And it was like, you know, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
You set the
I
intention.
think I'm
it's going
craving
to take
pizza.
you. I know.
So,
Suddenly we're like, we're definitely having
right.
pizza tonight.
But so I was watching it and it was taking me because some parts of it I was still like in this like safe place because I was in our sunroom and you had the hot tub set up at the time. So I was in the water, just like eyes like saucers staring out the window, like whoa, like watching all
I
this
missed
stuff.
that hot tub, man.
Right?
I loved that. Yeah.
So just sitting in there, and sometimes it was really scary, but it was okay because I was doing so much. And then it shifted, and at some point, it was just like they were all my friends. They didn't change their appearance. They didn't stop looking the way that they looked. Nothing changed except for my perception and what I could feel of them because they were just waking up and coming alive and joining me on this and guiding me. And they're like, it's okay. And I'm like, you know, trying to like, it's okay, my way through it. And then it was just like, they were all so beautiful. And it was like the strongest family and connection. And I'm not talking like, you know, like, it's not like they were birthing each other and like going through the space, not that kind. It was just like they were family. They were one. There was so much, they were like everything was connected. Every creature, every beast, everything that moved, everything. It was like there was this, they were all like, it really felt underworldy in this sense, and not in a, like, not even under, like otherworldly. I don't know. It was like you could see beyond what was happening here and like where we all go. It was like, for me, it represented what happens when you die. It represented death. It represented the transitioning into the other side, into what's next. And that also held a lot of fear. And suddenly it was like, this is what it's going to feel like. This is what's on the other side. And it was like the most beautiful, I want to get choked up, the most beautiful thing. And it was so like, I was so happy to see all of them. They were so happy to see me. And I just like the peace that like, it was like all of a sudden, like nothing was scary and it was so safe. And like, not in a morbid way, not in a scary way, not in a get this girl therapy way, but I was like, there was part of me that then was like, oh, I can't wait. You know, it was like this I'm not rushing it. I'm not missing this. I'm not being like, okay, you know, skirt, none of that. I probably shouldn't make a joke right there, but I just did because I'm so uncomfortable at this moment. I felt very vulnerable in saying that. So I brought in a joke to
I can relate to that part so much.
Myself. But yeah, it was just,
it's just so much peace knowing that when the time comes, it's not going to be a scary thing. It's going to be this beautiful homecoming experience.
Beautiful and
where you're
loving.
just, held
safe.
and loved and everything's great.
And it's not just you. Like you realize that the people that you love the most are going to be just fine or already are just fine. And it just was like,
yeah, babe.
Oh my gosh.
That's it.
I'm freaking booming.
That's it right there. That's love into fear right there.
Well,
Fear's gone. It's just love.
And so I can tap into that and I can feel that. And then I'm also like, I haven't like quite hit the thing where you hit, where it's like, you've just transformed. And I'm like, I feel like for a while I was pretty good. I was pretty like, but,
that's the thing that I think is really
in.
important. And that's a good thing
my
for us
gosh.
to talk about right now, because this is a beautiful experience that you had. Do you need some tissues?
I do. I put so much primer on trying to get my makeup. And then I got all this shit running in my eyes. I got the chemicals in my eyeballs. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. This is a podcast set that provides what we need, right?
Right.
It's got everything that we need right here. It will come back.
Yeah.
The fear comes back in, right? Because it's like a glimpse of the thing. It's a glimpse of that unconditional love place that everything is and everything was and all things, you know, it's just, we get glimpses of it and tastes of it. And we can spend a lot of time there if we choose, right? It's a practice to kind of get back to that space. But for me, my experience of, you know, really dropping into that space in the last few months or at the end of the year last year, the thing that I have really found fascinating is it's like, how do I hold that feeling, that energy, that knowingness? How do I hold it every single day? How do I grasp it and carry it with me all the time so that I'm able to see fear for what it really is? Just the illusion pretending to be something else, so that it's there to remind me what I'm really connected to. So it's there to remind me what this is really all about, because I don't fear death. And I think that that's the big overarching thing that everybody is just kind of like running from and avoiding. And we have all of these other examples of it that, you know, at the end of the day, all of these fears that we manifest and that we cultivate and that we create are really just the big fear of death. We're going to die. The people that we love are going to die. And it's so incredibly hard to sit with that thing until you realize that's an illusion. We're not really going to die. Death really isn't the thing that we are all afraid of. It just is a shift in perspective. It's just going to a different vibration. However we want to verbalize it, it doesn't really matter, right?
And there is a change.
There is a
Like
change.
there is a change. You know, there's very much transformation.
A
Like people are
frequency
here
shift.
one day, and then as far as your perception is not the next. And that is a very difficult thing. Like that's something to like make sure we have a lot of compassion for on that space. And it's, you know,
Yeah.
I toy with the like I go between, because I've seen things, right? So I believe there's something after. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's what I saw that day. I don't know if we're just all running through the trees and like all connected in here and supporting everybody along the way. I don't know if we're in the sky. You know, I know there's, you know, stories that I don't quite believe, but I don't know what it is. I believe there's something more. And because I believe in all of the possibilities of something more, there is a part of me that also holds space for believing that there's nothing more. Like, and not in a, like, it's just like that. It's just nothing.
Yeah.
That it's over, that there's nothing. It's just the darkness.
Yeah.
And they feel equally as peaceful to me. And that might seem weird, but like
I don't think that seems weird at all.
they seem the same.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so peaceful because I believe we're helping. I believe we get help. I believe we're here. But in the event that none of that is there and it's not love on the other side and everything just stops, so does everything though. So there is nothing but peace there.
Yeah.
So either way, it's peace. You know, either way, it's okay.
Yeah.
Either way, it's not scary. It's not painful. It's not sad. It's not. That's what I believe. Who knows, right? I'll find out one day.
You will. We
Right?
all will.
But well, we don't know. Like we don't know. There was a conversation I was having with our son at one point, and we were kind of talking about this, and I said, I want to get it right because it was just so insightful. I said, I'm figuring it out more every day. And he's like, well, we never really figure it out. I'm like, you're right. My beliefs are changing more every day. And I shaped it, but he was like, yeah, you're not figuring shit out. You're getting some ideas, you're getting some beliefs. And it was just like this open of perspective of like, we get so obsessed with knowing.
Right.
And we just don't know.
That's a really key thing, I think, that you said right there, because that's what I've been telling myself a lot lately is when I'm in that space of having to know, like I need the solid answer for these things. I need to know exactly how, like I need to know how to go to that place. I need to know what it looks like. I need to understand. And when I need it to be concrete, then that's when I'm in this human body way too much. I'm too much in the avatar. I'm too much in the space of like the matrix and having to know and having everything have to fit and having it to, you know, make sense because I'm in fear. And if I let go of that fear and remember that it gets to be both, it gets to be concrete, it gets to be a knowingness, it gets to be a certainty, right? I get to have the belief and I get to hold on to the belief, and the belief gets to help me feel warm and cozy and safe. And I also have to question it and let it go and recognize that I don't really know. I don't have the certainty. I have the belief and I have the faith and I have the knowingness in that because of those experiences, but I don't have the certainty. And so again, it's just the practice of being able to go back and forth between those two states and recognize that love is all that there is. But in conjunction with that, love will pretend to be fear in order to drive us back towards love.
Today's episode is brought to you by Heritage Still. Let's be honest, your cookware matters. And if you're still cooking with mass-produced non-stick pots and pans, you're missing out on better flavors, better durability, and better craftsmanship.
That's why we went with Heritage Still. All of Heritage Still's cookware is manufactured right here in Tennessee. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, just ironclad stainless steel designed to give you exceptional heat control and long-lasting performance.
Whether you're a pro in the kitchen or just learning your way around, Heritage Still makes your cooking easier, more precise, and more enjoyable. One of the biggest benefits of going with stainless steel cookware from Heritage Still is you won't be exposing yourself or your family to those toxic chemicals in that nonstick cookware.
And right now, for listeners of the Steph and Craig Show, you can save 10% off everything at their website. Head over to heritagestill.us/Steph and Craig and be sure to use promo code Steph and Craig at checkout to save that 10%.
Invest in cookware that lasts a lifetime. Heritage Still, chef-grade cookware for less.
Because we forget. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
We just forget that it's love. It's
still,
like, how did love create something to trick us into remembering that it's really just love?
Right.
Like, it's the greatest little paradox ever.
I
It
don't
just
know.
creates
That sounds
fear.
like an abusive relationship.
It sounds like it's
love. It's love.
gaslighting.
It's love. It's love. I love you. I'm like, "Ugh, show me some loving actions.
Right? It's totally
I
gaslighting.
so struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
I so struggle with that. It for me at this point, like I will love to get toward that, but at this point, it's the duality is very thick, and
That's what she said.
and I heard like years and years ago, I heard, people are, and it made so much sense and it was so clear. It's like people are only ever acting out of one of two emotions. They're either acting out of fear or out of love. And that to me, like when I'm in my self energy, not when I'm in my fear or reactive energy, but when I'm in my self energy, that made so much sense. And it also opened up so much compassion, because if somebody's acting out of love, they're acting out of love. Even if you don't see it, you don't agree, they think they're being loving. They're choosing love in that space. And if they're acting out of fear, they're afraid. We all act like and make choices that we wouldn't do and make mistakes. We all do things that we wouldn't think we would do when we're afraid. So either they're acting out of love or they're acting out of fear. Both are compassionate, or both hold compassion.
Both deserve compassion.
Both deserve compassion. Both, so that helped, but I don't always,
And the whole thing too is
can't
like,
always be there.
But it's also the reflection of like, it's less about your perception of how that person is acting, and it's more about how you're responding to the way that person is acting.
That's very true.
Because you're perceiving that they're acting out of fear and or love.
You also respond in love or fear.
Exactly. Like your perception of how
yes.
they're responding and how you're seeing their actions and behaviors. Like, we've got a lot of stuff going on in this country right now that people are perceiving one or the other.
Yeah. I'm perceiving a lot of the things that are happening in this country through the fear vibe. I'm not seeing I'm very much like, but it's bringing because
brings up anger.
It does.
Yeah.
So much anger. But I want to now fight this and to bring love to everybody.
Yeah.
Not just a very certain small group.
Right.
Right.
And if
I want to bring, but it's waking that up. So that reaction causing a fear response
inside of
makes
you.
me, causing a fear response in me, my fear response, which is bringing out the anger, which is motivation for change.
Yes.
And change to a loving action.
Yes.
And to safety and love for.
Exactly. Like that, because that's the whole thing is like, we externalize the things that we can't deal with internally. And that's all that's taking place on a really big scale is everybody's just externalizing these things that they can't deal with.
Man, can
internally.
we start dealing with our shit so we can externalizing all this shit and make all this shit go away? Let's deal with our shit
Exactly.
so we don't have to deal with this shit.
That's
we need
the
to
whole
get
work, right?
We need to get some external shit out of the way. We need to get them out of the way.
Yeah.
So let's deal with our shit, people.
That's the
Let's
thing.
deal with our shit.
You can
I believe
only
it.
do
This
your
is
work.
a call to action right now. We have really got to deal with our shit.
Yeah.
We have the power to stop all of this.
Exactly.
So let's deal with our shit, peeps. Come on.
But you have to do your
Now.
work. You have to do your work.
Okay.
That's the only way that
Wow.
it changes.
I hope that message is. I hope everybody.
See, that's the whole thing is it's like, I mean, it's when we expand it outwards and look at it on the bigger scale of like, especially what's taking place in the country right now.
We only can
And
do what we can
what's
do.
happening in the US is definitely affecting the rest of the world. And the rest of the world is being affected by all of it because of, all the different things, literally all the different things that we don't need to go into. But there's always going to be people that see things from those two perspectives.
Yeah.
They're going to see things from a loving act, and they're going to see things from a fear-based perspective, right? And then we're going to project that fear outwards onto the other person or project love outwards onto the other person. At the end of the day, we have no idea why people are behaving the way that they're behaving,
True.
right? We don't know if they're in love or if they're in fear. I can presume to think that I know. I think I know why those people are behaving. And those people, obviously, we're talking about our government and our current president and all the different things that are taking place that are affecting the entire globe. It's not justification. It's not saying that it's okay. It's not saying that we're okay with any of it. It's just a conversation about our perception of what's underneath it all, especially my perception in this moment, right? You've got your own.
Yeah, I'm definitely making a lot of assumptions.
Yes.
And a lot of projections.
And I think
and
that
I feel like I'm right.
I think
it's
they're
really hard
acting
to
out
get
of
out of
fear.
that space. Yeah.
Right. And I think
Yeah.
that they might argue otherwise. I think they might argue that they're acting out of love.
Yeah.
But I think I see it as clear as day that they're acting out of fear.
Yeah.
Because love doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Right? Love isn't something that causes pain. Love isn't something that hurts other people. Love isn't about less. Love is about more. Love is about all people, everybody, right? You have those, like you had your experience in the hot tub with the psilocybin and the trees, and I had my experience in the clouds with, people being able to read my mind and telepathy being a thing and all these kind of beautiful things.
Like it gets to.
And those experiences were unique to us and the things that we were having in the moment, but they definitely did not involve compartmentalizing and like it involved more of everything. It involved everybody. It involved, we're all the same.
Right. There
We're
wasn't
all
any
one.
separation in
No,
that.
no
I wasn't like,
separation.
except for these people.
Right.
Except for, I wasn't thinking about
You
our
weren't
government.
divvying up the
but
trees where
it
you're like,
wasn't
well,
right.
I only like those trees over
Right?
there, not those ones.
It
Right.
wasn't, there was no separation.
Yeah.
No
So
separation.
that's when you know that it's coming from love to some extent, right? Where you're not, there's just no fear in love.
Yes.
Because how could there be? It's just love. We're all the same. But that doesn't change on the big scale, right? Like, it's like, okay, these are all great concepts and ideas, but how do we actually make change on the big global scale? And I think that, like anything else, you can only do your own work, whatever's in front of you.
So I think about that.
Yeah.
Keep thinking, there's,
I think you can only do your own work.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit. We have some fun little notes that we took, because we knew that we were going to squirrel out.
We definitely went
What
on
are
a
some
little...
things that, like, let me see the paper, because there's things in my head that are standing out to this moment in the conversation.
Do you want to go first, or do you want...
Go ahead.
Okay. One of the things that was standing out to me, one of the things that I struggle with is because when you're like, as we talked about, like there's no separation when you're really in that love state.
Mm-hmm.
Things feel good. They feel safe. They are.
It's peace.
It's peace. And so my brain took it and said, in order to act lovingly all the time, in order to come from love all the time, that means that I basically don't get boundaries, because it means I always have to be like, yes, this is fine. Everybody's doing their best. Like, whatever, it doesn't matter what you do to me. It's love. It doesn't matter. Take this, do that. I have to say, it doesn't matter. Even if it hurts me, it can't really hurt me, because if I'm really in love, then it doesn't really hurt me. And that's not really a thing. And I don't need to really protect myself because it's all love. So the message that I got is that's how I have to behave and act if I'm acting lovingly. And so, as one does, I was like, well, fuck off. Like,
Right.
not doing that.
See, I think
Not
this is a
doing
great
that.
point to bring up
Thank you.
because
Thank you. I was hoping so when I brought it up.
because I'm in that place where it's like, well, it's all love, so it doesn't really matter. And to me, that is the big overarching truth.
Okay.
Like, that's the big surprise at the end of the tunnel. It's all love. It didn't really matter. So all the things, it's, it's
But
the
I'm not
Bhagavad-
at the end of the tunnel.
It's the Bhagavad Gita with Arjuna, right? It's like the whole story about, I can't go to war and hurt these people that I love. And it's like, well, sorry, dude, you're doing your part in this
Yes.
experience. And at the end of the day, if you don't do that part, then they can't do their part, and we all can't do our parts to evolve this thing that we're participating in, right? But at the end of the day, it's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not to say it doesn't matter. It's just simply to say that it doesn't really matter. I know that doesn't make sense.
No, it's definitely something you have to, because you get.
So it's holding that big overarching belief of that it's all love. And when I say it doesn't really matter, I mean, it's just we're all perpetuating the evolution of love together. So we have to play out our own little individual, roles. So
Which means you do set boundaries.
Well, that's the higher concept idea to hold, in a sense, to kind of keep you feeling peaceful, good, motivated, headed in the right direction. But then you also have to be in the construct of the matrix where you do need boundaries, where you do need to identify what's safe and what's not safe for you. It's not eliminating those things from your space. Again, it's being able to do two things at the same time. Be able to sit in those two spaces and hold those two truths, in a sense, and recognize. So I think you're right. Like if you're in, I love this, the fear-based thinking might look like over-explaining yourself because you're afraid of being misunderstood. We both do that quite a bit. I'm doing that right now. Avoiding hard conversations because you fear conflict. We don't ever do that, right? That's a huge thing that we do in our relationship.
I was in that one really big. You were like, let's talk about this. And I'm like, I need to figure this out first before I can talk about it.
Right.
I couldn't have a conversation. And then when we got to the point where we had the conversation, that was all that was needed.
Everything got
and
better,
we did
yeah.
that before I figured it out. But I was very much like, things are going to blow up. They're going to be crazy. Or I'm not like, I can't have this conversation. I'm going to avoid this conversation because it's just going to make things worse. So I was very much doing that. And because I was very afraid. I was very afraid.
Over giving in relationships because you fear being abandoned. That's a Steph Craig go-to.
Overgiving. And it's not always like overgiving of like things and times. Overgiving is also looks the same of when you continue to make yourself smaller so that the space for the other is bigger is also overgiving. So if you feel like you're
holding yourself back from taking a risk because you fear failure. So those are good examples of fear-based thinking, being in that mindset and in that perspective. And there's like, it's just having awareness of it. What was that moment?
I just realized that we were going to say the same thing. So I was like, oh, here's that point that I wanted to make. And you were reading that point. So we were the same thing. And then I went first. So I was like, I'm going first. I didn't mean to, but I see that now because I know where you're going next, which is, yeah.
How do you shift into a different mindset?
Well, or is it the how or what does a different mindset look like?
Yeah. Go ahead and read what the different
You go
love-based
ahead because
thinking.
I took it from you. We were on the same spot. It just jumped out to me so strongly.
In the moment.
That was such a moment for me to be like, being loving doesn't mean that you have no boundaries and you're just open and exposed and just have to take everything that comes. But that's what it felt like. If you really loved me, like obviously it comes from trauma, right? If you really love me, this is what you would do for me. If you really love me, this is how this relationship, if you really love me, you would XYZ, you do all of these things.
Yeah, it's like the
And so it was
confusion.
like, yeah, you said love doesn't hurt, but that's not what I learned.
It's the confusion around unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
So like we have a human explanation and definition of unconditional love. And it's so hard to grasp and understand, like in the avatar experience of being a human, because it seems like it would mean, okay, whatever, right? It's almost like what, Jesus is unconditionally loving. And in turn, he's obviously crucified, right? It's like that experience is an act of unconditional love. And it's like, well, wait a minute, I don't want to do that, right? That doesn't seem like, if I just let everybody walk all over me and hurt me and punish me, and then that's an act of unconditional love, because, it's all love in the end, right?
Right. If we all have those thoughts, we all have that conditioning, then no wonder we're all resistant to this thing.
Right, because it's scary.
Right? Why? Because why would we do that? We're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, and then so that's like
This episode is brought to you by Nutrotonic. You've probably heard of Shilajit, but did you know that not all Shilajit is created equal? Most of what's out there on the market is low quality, diluted, and packed with fillers, but not Nutrotonic's Shilajit.
Nutrotonic sources a rare form of red Himalayan Shilajit, packed with minerals, fulvic acids, and essential nutrients to help boost focus, energy, and overall well-being.
This is the real deal. Pure, potent, and sourced from the high altitude regions of the Himalayas. No additives, no junk, just nature's most powerful supplement.
If you want to elevate your health naturally, now is the time. Listeners of the podcast can save 15% off everything at Nutrotonic. So head over to the website, nutrotonic.com/Steph Craig, and be sure to enter promo code Steph Craig at the checkout.
Fuel your body the way nature intended with Nutrotonic Shilajit.
that's like the definition of unconditional love from a, like you said, from a trauma mindset, from from an experience of a program of what this has gone through, what you've gone through, and what you've been, what your life experience was. And then that other unconditional love place that's like the real unconditional love, the one that you connected to, the one that I've connected to. It's like that anybody can connect to. We're all from it. It's not just unique to psilocybin and THC experiences. Right. It's something that happens all the time. That doesn't exist there. Like this idea of, oh, wait a minute, it means I have to let go of all it. No, that just doesn't exist there. And it's hard to explain because it's like part of your brain is trying to understand it from that part of your brain that needs things to fit and make sense. And that it doesn't fit there. Like if you try to use your conscious, rational mind to compute this information, it's never going to fit and work.
Yes.
You have to use this other part of your brain, which isn't really your brain, right? It's this other part of your being to understand it. And in that space, it doesn't exist. It's like, this isn't a conversation that wouldn't even happen because it's like, oh yeah, why would I? No, I just love you. Like, we're just like, you're me, I'm you, we're all love. Why we don't have to worry about boundaries and this, that, and it, because you would never hurt me. Like hurt doesn't exist in that place. Pain doesn't exist in that place. Yeah. So we're all there, but then we're also here. And here we have to deal with that fear-based thinking of like all these different things. Yeah. So love-based thinking might look like setting boundaries. That's how we confront fear, right? Because
and boundaries are scary if you're not used to them. Scary. Until you get used to boundaries and feel like safe setting them, it's a terrifying thing to be able to learn how to set boundaries when you haven't been able to.
It really is.
So it's such a loving thing when you're moving past that and setting those boundaries.
I hate setting boundaries still. Like every time I come up to one and I'm like, I'm going to have to do something about this, which means I'm going to have to choose me over, oftentimes it's the ones that I deal with in regards to you that are the hardest for me. But even the external ones, like with friends and other relationships and things like that, where it's like, I hate it. Yes. I hate it. It just feels crappy in my belly. They're not easy to do by any means yet.
They're really hard.
But like setting boundaries because you trust that your needs matter, speaking honestly even when it's uncomfortable, taking risks because you believe in your ability to handle whatever happens, being present in relationships without clinging or controlling.
Right? I'm feeling a little clingy right now. Like, let me sit on your lap. Just hold me. Right? Is that fear or do I need comfort? There's a different kind of clingy.
Yeah.
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 If you need comfort, you're not clingy. Comfort is not, we all need comfort at different times. and we will absolutely
right?
connection. And that's another thing that if you happen to need something from somebody else, then that gets labeled too. So, and that's more about the person feeling like they're not able to give as opposed to, or not being able to set a boundary when they've given too much. There's so many things to look at there, but needing human connection is not a bad thing. Only getting your needs met, only, you know, like projecting all that. I need you to complete me is where we get into trouble. But
Tom Cruise.
right?
Come on now, Jerry Maguire.
Hello. I need a drink.
So when you think more and more about this, I'm really curious, like you mentioned, your experience of connecting and tapping into love. It was something that you held on to for a while and then it started to fade. How can you bring it forth and carry that feeling and that knowingness every day?
Yeah.
And then just take slow incremental steps day in and day out to battle against these fears that come up, because you know the truth, right? You have the belief. So how do you then confront fear every single day?
There's plenty of opportunities to confront fear.
It sure is,
right?
Do you see that? Do you see that love
I
showing
do
up, giving
see
you
that.
all of these
Also,
opportunities to remember?
Look, it's I haven't told that story in that detail in a while. I know I've told it before. I think I've told it on the podcast too. So maybe not this one. Maybe it was our last one. Probably was our last. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
But
you told it again,
right?
It was
I
beautiful.
told it again, and I'll probably tell it again because
we'll forget.
Right? Because we'll forget, or like this is like I haven't really. It's been a while since I've told that story. Like I've allowed myself to like remember and experience that. And just the retelling of that felt so good.
Yeah.
Like, and I had like that wash over me. And so just being able to give the time to sit in that moment feels like, I'm like, man, how do I remember that every day? Because just in this moment, re-experiencing that, it feels like I'm not telling something of the past. I'm tapping into that emotion. Does that make sense? Like I'm tapping into that emotion, that feeling, that experience as it's happening, or when I was saying it as it was happening, you know, maybe not with the same, you know, awe, because that was the first time. And it was like, my mind was just completely blown. My heart was completely like transformed. Everything just like opened up in me. It was like this beautiful space. And that was, but I can still remember that. So it's not as significant as never have I ever felt this before, but it's just as powerful. And so for me, I don't know what anybody like, but for me, that's something that I want to try and like, what can I do to remember that? What can I do? And not holding on to like, but I want to be able to tap into that energy. I want to be able to tap into that vibration, because I hadn't forgotten it, but it didn't have the same effect until I like re-shared that with an experience that was like, oh yeah, I do remember. It felt like a thing of the past until we just talked about it. And then it was like, oh, that's right here. That's right now. Like it didn't go anywhere. Like I did, but it didn't, you know, kind of a thing. So,
you know what helps me?
What's that?
Because I think about these experiences they're just straight up fucking magic.
Yeah,
it's just magical, right? It's like there's no two ifs. Like it's just magic. There's no other way to describe it. It's a magical experience. So then the way that I stay connected to those big magical experiences that change everything inside of you in the blink of an eye is I'm constantly paying attention to all the magic that exists around me all the time. So it's grabbing little pieces of it. And instead of just being like, oh, that's cool, and be like, no, that's magic. I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm in it constantly. It's the whole thing of like the fish that doesn't know that it's in water. Like I am in water all the time. I eat it, I drink it, I sleep it, I breathe it. I'm swimming in it constantly because that's the truth. And so I just am always looking for magic and validating it when I see it, because it's love going like, I see you, I see you, I see you. I'm right here. Everywhere I go, there's love, there's love, there's love, there's love, there's love everywhere. That's how I do it. But it's a practice. And when I'm not in that state, So like when I had one the other day where it was like I came home really angry after pickleball, super upset, right? And it was like, okay, how can I shift out of that, knowing full well that I'm experiencing it, but not like bypassing it and not wanting to feel it, not wanting to be in it, recognizing that I'm feeling it for a reason, blah, 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 right? Fast forward to the end where it's like, okay, I have to do something about that. But at the same time, it's a gift and it's an opportunity to just have a massive act of love for myself rather than resist the emotion or resist the anger or resist whatever's coming up inside of me. And then again, just recognizing that I'm going to have those moments where it's like, I'm not at the end of, an end isn't right? It's not a beginning or an end type of journey, right? I'm not at I'm at the place where I'm here for a reason. I'm having this experience in the avatar in the matrix for a reason. So I have to be in that. I have to exist here. I have to validate it. I have to recognize that it's going to be hard. Like I'm going to be exposed to the elements. It's not just hot and cold and hungry and tired and hurt. Pain is an experience here for a reason. I'm exposed to it. I'm feeling it. It's causing me a reaction. It's cultivating emotions inside of me. It's perpetuating the evolution of something, if I look at it that way. And I chose it, and I created it, and I wanted to have it. So I got to be in it. But I also got to remember, it's all fucking magic. It's all magic. It's all magic. So I got to look for it everywhere. You see it all the time too.
I do.
We were talking about it the other day where it's like
with that.
The trees are always there. Like we're always seeing the faces in the trees.
Right.
And it's like, I can't not look out our windows and be like, oh my God, look how cool these trees are.
Still see them.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite the same level, but like
Sometimes.
they're there. Sometimes I'm looking at the dragons. Sometimes like it's so, and it's not like in your mind's eye, it's like you can see them.
Yeah.
You can see them. And then the repeats and the reflections as I went from thinking that synchronicities. I don't remember. I always say different things. It's like ricochets.
Ricochet is what you called it.
Ricochets. And that sounds, I'm like, that kind of sounds violent. Because every time I hear a ricochet, I think of like a gun firing.
Was it ricochet that you called it?
I don't know. Ricochet, repeat, reflections.
It was like 3 episodes ago.
Well,
I
maybe
can't
we
believe
can go
we
back
can't
and
remember
listen.
it. We never will.
Will you tell me what it was? But just like, yeah, just like seeing that everywhere, letting signs be everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like, there it is again. There it is again. There it is again.
Right?
Right.
Just constantly being reminded of how magical this experience is.
Right. I'll make everything magical now when I'm in that good state. And that feels so good. And I can really tap into why like that was like ridiculed and like shamed out. Like, you know what I mean?
Because those people were in fear.
Right. And instead I'm like, well, I would punish myself then if I would, something. Yeah, I would like, oh, that's not, I minimize it, bring it down. Like, let's be rational.
Right.
Let's be rational. Let's, it's like more irrational to stop all the things that you're seeing and claiming that it's rational when I can make everything beautiful now because I allow it to be what it is, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I still get caught up because it's the both,
Because you're still here.
I'm still here.
Doing this thing.
Fear had a really good, and it's still like I have a lot of lessons here, but it has shifted. And I love this conversation because I'm sitting with the awareness of how much it actually has. And even earlier, like, I'm just like, I've done nothing. I felt nothing. I've gotten nowhere. I'm just right back where I started. Nothing's changed. I'm just as fucked up as I ever was. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's okay. I definitely had a moment.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's all circles.
Right? Or that like spiraling up. So just because you're looking at it again doesn't mean you're seeing it from the same level. You're spiraling up. It's the universe. It moves like this. The orbit we're just not on the flat plane.
Today's episode is brought to you by Element 6. If you haven't tried pickleball yet, what are you waiting for? It's the fastest growing sport in the country, and whether you're a total beginner or a seasoned player, having the right gear makes all the difference.
That's where E6 comes in. Their paddles are built for power, precision, and control, so you can level up your game whether you're playing for fun or for competition.
And here's the best part. They're all about quality and performance without breaking the bank.
Listeners get 10% off everything at Element 6. Head to the link in the description and use promo code Steph and Craig at checkout.
Pick up a paddle that can keep up with you. Go with Element 6. We'll see you on the courts.
I sure love you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
beautiful. I liked this.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got hair on my face though. Okay. Probably because I'm so animated. I gotta talk with my hands.
I like that you talk with your hands. It's a good thing.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Go support us if you're interested over on Substack, and you should be interested. We're encouraging you to be interested in supporting us over on Substack. We're having a really good time exploring what it is to share all of these thoughts and experiences that we have in regards to our life and to healing and consciousness and all sorts of different things in the written word. It's a place that we've really kind of expanded and grown and are going to continue to grow. So there's a link down in the show notes. You can click it and go subscribe to us over there and follow all of those things that we're excited to be sharing because we have new things coming. There's always new things coming.
Yes.
There's always a perpetual movement forward, and we're up for it, even though it's scary, right?
Yes.
We've got really exciting things coming.
Yes.
You want to tease any of them?
Yes. Do you want to go first? No? Sorry.
Fuck no,
Okay,
I'm not ready to do
okay,
that.
okay.
I'm almost ready.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Okay,
I'm almost
I got it.
ready. Do you want to do it now?
Fuck yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
So
Don't look at me. Look at the camera. Talk
Here
to
we
the
go.
people.
Make it brief. I have started a. So nervous. I can do this. I can practice. Here's a messy first draft. Here's the messy version. Years ago, I was developing this, and I think we teased a little bit before, but now
We've
it's
talked
coming
about it a
up
little bit past.
of
Yeah.
a modality that came to me when I was working with massage clients years ago. And it's just grown, and I've been able to practice and get curious about it more and learn about it and practice it on, like when I had clients that I was massaging in person back in Utah and working with individuals. Now, since we've been in Tennessee, I've only done it online and distance, but it is coming to light. It is prism light weaving using the sacred prism flame. And we have purchased the URL, social medias. So they are all open. I haven't started posting yet, but it is coming. And very, very soon, if you are interested in experiencing this and learning more about this, you will be able to book a session with me. And while it is first coming on launching, it is going to be, what would the word here be? An introductory price. I'm starting
That's
it
a
off
good way to put it. Yeah.
as an introduction while we're building. And like, I want it to be something that you join me on. And I'm so excited to launch Prism Light Weaving. I am so excited. It has been building and creating, and it wants to be birthed so much. I just feel it like coming out of my belly, and I am so excited for this. So stay tuned. Keep looking. Look up Prism Light Weaving and search on social media if you want to start getting connected there, but you will be able to book a session very soon. And I hope you do.
Very soon.
Hope you do. Yes.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm excited. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Expect the best.
Plan for the greatest.
We got a wild ride. Wait and see, you and me. We were meant to
Thank
be.
you for listening to this podcast. You've made it all the way to the end, and we are so grateful for you. If you have a moment, you could take time to like, subscribe, and share this episode. It really helps us. And also, if you liked this episode, which you're still here, so you probably did, you might like these clips too. And again, thanks for supporting the Steph and Craig Show. There's new episodes every week. See you next time.